More than 1 billion rand is spent maintaining the luxurious lifestyles of the president and his ministers every year in South Africa. Nobody would care about that as long as the services that we are paying our taxes for were actually being provided.
I beg these people to take care of her. I beg these people to do something to help me because I could see that my baby was not right.
Amanda had developed sores in her mouth and had slept in her own urine.
Former President Nelson Mandela was forced to wait 40 minutes in an ambulance which had broken down on the side of the highway on the night he was hospitalized. He could have died waiting in that ambulance, but fortunately he was Nelson Mandela and a plan was made pronto. Unfortunately, not every South African experiences that privilege. Apiwe, a 19-year-old woman, was in labor. She began experiencing birth pains and her mother called an ambulance to take her to hospital. 4 hours later, no ambulance in sight. They decide to ask a neighbor to take them to the hospital. They pay 500 rand. The neighbor takes them to the hospital, but when they get there, due to the swelling, they could not perform the cesarean. They had to postpone that cesarean due to the swelling that took place as a result of her waiting for that ambulance. Unfortunately, Apiwe's baby dies. The ambulance finally arrives 8 hours after it had been called. Apiwe too could have died had she not had that neighbor take her to hospital. Instead of handling it, instead of solving the problem with the ambulances in our nation, the ANC government, the president, the ministers are spending millions of rands on cars. Nothing wrong with the car, it's just 5 years old. Nothing wrong with the car, it's just at 120,000 kilometers, while people don't even have ambulances to get them to hospital in situations of life and death. A man called an ambulance for his sick sister on a Friday, only to be told that no ambulances were available. His sister unfortunately died 2 days later. No ambulance was ever dispatched. Who caused all of this? Let's look at the facts. The health department guidelines say that there should be 5,700 ambulances in South Africa, or 1 ambulance per 10,000 people in South Africa. A survey done by BIDBZAJJ found that we only had 1,971 ambulances on the road in South Africa. So the guideline says what? 5,700. The reality is 1,971. A 2011 census put Matatiele's population at 204,000 people, and yet they have only 1 ambulance to serve them. A 52-year-old man died crying of pain after waiting 8 hours for an ambulance. The ambulance was called around 11 a.m. and only arrived at 7 p.m. But these are just ambulances. What about the hospitals? Surely the comrades would not let you down in that department as well, would they? In 2021, 1,954 people died due to severe adverse events. What are these severe adverse events, you may be wondering? Dying or worsening of conditions due to a reason unrelated to why you came to the hospital in the first place, aka negligence. To summarize, in 2021, there were actually 6,910 severe adverse events. 1,015 occurred in Khalafong Provincial Hospital in Pretoria, 587 at Helen Joseph Hospital, 626 at Tembisa Hospital, 854 at Chris Hani Hospital, 453 at George Mukari Hospital. These are high and unacceptable numbers. And out of those, 1,954 unfortunate people died. So out of almost 7,000 incidents, only 28 disciplinary cases were opened. All the other negligent, uncaring, incompetent hospital staff members continue doing their work as if nothing ever happened, which is why we continuously hear stories of rude, disrespectful, incompetent, and negligent nurses and staff members serving people in hospitals. I mean, why should they care? Why should they stop if after they mistreat patients, nothing ever happens?
Medical negligence claims in South Africa have risen by 23% since 2014. These are the medico-legal claims based on medical negligence or malpractice in the health sector. In the last financial year, there were over 6 billion rand worth of claims that were awarded.
Baphumile abodokotela laba like abonesi abomodwife laba bayaziyo bashiya le kampani loya lapha because immediately umntana makaqeda ukuvela yamfana ungishiyile wagijima uyofonana nawo so uyabona ukuthi bebeziphumele nakhona nalesikhathi lesi bebakhona ewodini bebangangisizi ngalutho because bebabhekelela amavidiyo bebayihlalile even though mangicomplaina ngepain bebangitshela ukuthi akwenzeki futhi yonke into bebayiphikisa nakhona leya machine like lento ye-heartbeat iyakhomba abazange bayimonitora abazange bayenzele ukuthi bebeyihlelele babhekelele amavidiyo wabo then baphuma ngesikhathi sengicomplaina kakhulu ngepain bavele bezisukumela.
3 times they called this doctor. She refused to come. 3 times until a trainee doctor, and he came to assist me, only to find out as a mother they weren't giving my baby her medication from Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I had given the doctor downstairs the medication. So you can imagine, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Been a number of problems at Chris Hani Baragwana, laundry issues, a lack of bread, just to name 2 in recent months.
A happy experience of bringing a child into the world turned into a botched medical procedure. 2 months after giving birth, Dikabelo Mohammed noticed something unusual.
When I wanted to go to the toilet, I can't hold the stool. It just comes out.
Due to time, we won't go into all the recorded cases that speak to these adverse events and medical negligence, but I want you to know that it doesn't only result in trauma and death in the lives of the people who experienced it, but it also affects you as a taxpayer, because there are so many people who end up suing the Department of Health, suing the government for the negligence that they experienced, the severe traumatic events that they experience at the hands of government clinics and government hospitals. And you and me, we are paying that. When they sue the government for millions of rands, we pay that because the government doesn't really have money. Their money is our money. And just take a look at how much of your tax money is going to pay towards the negligence that the government is allowing to go on in hospitals and in clinics. In Eastern Cape alone, medical negligence claims were over 3 billion rand in 2021. The Department of Health loses over 2 billion rand annually due to medical malpractice at the hands of its staff in hospitals. Out of all the cases that were opened in 2021, the department stood to lose 13 billion rand due to negligence. That is 13 billion of our tax money going to pay victims as a result of the medical negligence by the Department of Health. So the Department of Health is acknowledging that negligence is to blame for these deaths. So what is the ANC doing to fix this? Negligence is being ignored, and ignoring poor performance is negligence in itself. So what response do you think the ANC is going to give regarding this problem?
Apartheid. Apartheid. Apartheid.
That's right. Blame everything on apartheid. While the ministers are driving new BMWs, Porsches, Audis, let's just blame apartheid.
He has travelled to the Mafikeng Provincial Hospital
10 times without seeing an ear specialist. He has since been referred to a facility 200 kilometers away to see an orthopedic specialist. She described the journey as tedious.
We struggle
to get specialists. We are tired of being transferred back and forth to Tshepong and Baragwanath Hospital. I now have a serious bone illness and they only gave me pills. If there were specialists, they would have attended to my problems speedily. We really need specialists in Northwest.
A shortage of ambulances, competence, equipment, and accountability, while the ministers are living large. Call it corruption, call it incompetence. At the end of the day, these people died because of the ANC. The ANC failed to hold people accountable. They were responsible people who needed to be held accountable, but the incompetent and negligent people were allowed to continue performing in this negligent way, thus ensuring that even more people are served by them, ensuring that more people die unnecessary deaths. And because the ANC knew this and did nothing about it, they too are responsible for these deaths. So strange that they failed to attend to this issue. They failed to say, okay, so this is happening in our department. The Department of Health is acknowledging blame for this, so let's fix this issue. They can't do that. Yet they are quick to get into those expensive flights at our cost. They are quick to change those expensive cars at our cost without taking the time to say, the people paying this tax for me to live this lavish, luxurious life, they can't afford to take themselves to a hospital. So let me just ensure that they are being dealt with. Let me ensure the issue of ambulances and negligence in hospitals is being dealt with. What level of selfishness and carelessness and irresponsibility is that? Let's read what the definition of culpable homicide is. This is as per the SAPS. Culpable homicide is an unlawful, negligent killing of another human being. Negligent killing of another human being. The elections are coming, promises are starting. Share this video with other citizens and let us change our country for the better. As always, this is Citizen Concerned. Stay informed and beware of the comrades.